Welcome back, everybody, as the Paladins World Championship here in Brazil continues. Agro now joined by Gormizer on the desk as we are getting ready for the first elimination match of this championship Sunday. Gore, one of these teams, either InControl or Ignite, has their season ended after this set.
On the quickest this weekend we've got to the elimination match. I mean, that's the downside. I think InControl, like, they had a very good contested 3-0 as much as you can, right? But ultimately,
Sure.
I think both of these teams looking to make a pretty major bounce back from what we just saw out of them. We know Parallax and Carnage are very dominant, teams that come through in Brazil. Ignite has been able to kind of surprise everyone, I think, this year and this last phase at least, being able to keep up with and almost stay tied with Carnage for a long portion until the last few weeks. Same thing for InControl, a team that did really well in the minor league last time. Both of them have the capability to push back. It's just who has the stronger mental this time to take that 3-0, dig their heels in, and just push.
Being able to bounce back, a big part of these championship runs, and we'll see which of these two teams, if any, can really make that work, as we are going to be starting off on Stone Keep. Ignite, Banaway, Splitstone Quarry, and Jaguar Falls. Frog Isle and Ascension Peak banned by InControl. Does that mean, Gore, that we might see our first Warder's Gate of the whole weekend? I don't know if we've seen it unbanned at all this whole weekend across all three regions.
I would love to be able to jump there. Just a little different flavor.
Why
right?
not, right?
Look, you got look right now in the reserve map pool. You got Bright Marsh, Timber Mill. There's your Serpent Beach, and one that I'm forgetting, which is probably okay because no one's gonna play that one alongside Timber Mill anyway. But you don't have Serpent Beach and Bright Marsh. You got to give me at least the world tour right now, Brazil. So I'm hoping for you to do it. As much as I love Stone Keep, I'd love to be able to go somewhere like to Warder's Gate, just to get the flavor.
Fingers crossed we'll be able to see that one if you're a Warder's Gate fan, as Torvald, Makoa, and Zin are the first three bans off the board. Ignite going to round it out with a second flank ban in that Androxus. A little bit different of a strategy here from Ignite.
Yeah, I actually like the change-up. Again, it targets a lot of the players on InControl, but the downside is, well, Rom makes it through, but Io also makes it through. I guess if you're Ignite, you're going to be able to control that. Genos as well, who has been not necessarily game-changing this weekend, but has definitely been a big aspect for a lot of these teams, so it's not surprising to see him highly prioritized here by Ignite, just getting that damage boost. But it does target the flanks and try to control what Stone Keep have. Honestly, when I see Andro banned, it almost makes me wonder if they want to pick up something like a Drogoz later on.
Certainly something to keep your eye out for, as Io left open and now possible to be picked here by InControl on the same side as that ROM. You said the Genos hasn't been super game-changing this weekend, and I completely agree with you. But today, so far here in Brazil, it's 4 for 4 on victories. So something worth noting if Ignite can keep that trend going and keep Genos as that priority pick, is without having their support quite yet, but knowing the Genos is already locked in on the other side for Ignite, no IO lock-in here. It's going to be Buck Cassie instead.
And I like this for InControl on Stone Keep. This is also a draft that would work really well on something like Timber Mill that could come through. It gives them aggression. You have someone who's going to be able to push forward, whether it's Buck or Cassie, with the ROM and give him a lot of backup. Not that he really needs it, but just some extra damage out there for the off-tank. And you're not too stressed about getting a support because they already locked in Genos. Unless they're going to do something like we saw yesterday in Europe, you're not really worried about them trying to grab a second one.
Shaolin and Maeve, so no blaster quite yet if that's the direction Ignite was thinking about going, but solid DPS from these two members of the squad. And Io actually gets left unpicked, assuming that they're not going to go Corvus Io. Not normally, if you're going to see Corvus plus another healer, it's that Genos on the other side, but obviously with that pick, that's not an option. You surprised to see InControl not go with the Io here and elect to go Corvus instead?
Honestly, yes. I think Corvus is going to give you some very similar, prowess as what the Genos is going to, and it maybe enables the Cassie and the Buck a little bit better. But considering how oppressive Io can feel, it's a little surprising to me to see her glanced over by both of these teams. I mean, Genos being picked up over her in general is kind of surprising to me, but then Corvus locked in, as you had highlighted, is even more surprising, especially with Barrick. I feel like Barrick has good chances of staying alive and controlling the objective, but he is still going to suffer. I think something like Luna on the point with him would make it a lot easier to just stand there. Knowing you're up against a Khan maybe makes him a little more confident knowing that he's the main point tank in the game.
Yeah, only one tank on the side here of Ignite, but plenty of damage now. I mean, you got the damage amp, of course, coming from Genos, but Khan, Shaolin, Mei, Victor They're pumping out damage numbers in this game. Do they pump out enough damage numbers to find the victory is the question, though.
I'm looking at Ignite, and look, on any map, if you get those 3 in a solid performance, then those DPS are going to be able to just run the show. But there are still those counters, right? Buck can absolutely take the matchup over Maeve, especially if he's consistently hitting headshots. Rom, even though he's a tank, does enough damage that you have to be worried as a backliner, and he can get back there. So you have to play carefully with that shuffle. InControl definitely have some control here.
Elimination game number 1 here on Championship Sunday. Let's find out who's staying and who's going home. Kicking it off on Stone Keep.
It's definitely time to believe in your power and reach for victory. This will set up the struggle for survival. My name is Merlo, with me, Krasnik, ready to analyze and break down these talents.
Yeah, nothing too surprising here coming out of them. I think maybe you'd say, oh, Storm of Bullets instead of Leon's Shield on solo tank. Maybe that's something that we're surprised to see, but we don't really see a ton of Leon's Shield in Brazil. Besides, it's going to be Stone Keep. There's a lot of verticality. You're going to be getting shot down from above. Leon's Shield doesn't help you when your head is totally and completely exposed to that, but they're making up for that. That's why they're putting Khan on the high ground and taking a lot of ground to start.
Absolutely, and Toga is going to try to escape. No can do thanks to Shaolin. It's going to be a problem, but he's super healthy. It's going to be fine. Right now, Ignite Gaming completely outnumbered and outside the point, trying to reach some kind of middle ground to actually get into people's faces. But InControl Nation, they got the high ground. They got everything else going for them. The problem right now for Ignite is just to find another kill, thanks to Shaolin and all the others. But a lot of shields coming up from Barrick and all the others.
Yeah, they're just trading poke for now, and no real way to confirm anything, and kind of a waste of cripple by Ornstein. The ROM could have come in, but playing a little bit slow on the commitment. InControl don't need to rush too much. They have the point, but a barrage already charged up by Ignite does end up taking down Ice Monkey, and they could strike from up top off this.
And the second one is going to come in from King Kaiser. There you go. That's the stimulus to actually get the point. InControl Nation, they got the kills, they got the point, they got the percentage. They just need to find a little bit more aggression thanks to the Cassim. Oh, but it gets shut down by this Qubits. Coming in, Victor has control once again thanks to the high ground. The grenade is going to pressure them out. Very difficult to actually get to the point in this moment in time. Ice Monkey takes another one for the team. And the Barrick, and yeah, they're gonna go from the back. Bucket's point. It's gonna fight 1v1. Once again, poking them out. No real strategy, no real critical point to reach up.
Wow, look at this Cataclysm, though. They're getting multiple off of this. 3 people just get wiped off the map, and InControl managed to take this. I was literally about to go into a whole spiel about how, oh wow, they're kind of feeding ultimates with this ROM. That's why Ignite are charging them as fast as they are. Some of them are on their second ults already. And then they just run in and collapse on the rest of the team. They can't contest anymore. Because I believe of the Shaolin going down a little bit earlier, now this solo tank composition, I feel like they could really struggle to hold this last point, and that's why they have to spend the overpower.
Yeah, that was a big value down there thanks to Rom, but also, of course, we see that they can do whatever they want with Khan. And of course, since he spent the ultimate so early, he can actually farm it back up thanks to Storm of Bullets. It's going to be ready to deal and dish out a little bit of pain coming in. Deja Vu and all the others. I'm trying to stop him. And that's a very good position, a very good spot you want to be in, because with Barrick and all the others, it's going to be hard to actually push in for InControl Nation.
Yeah, definitely going to be difficult to, I think, bust through right away, especially with this hunt that Ignite have right now. Want to go in, but just finding the one, I think they should be at least okay with that, but they have to watch this far side. People are running into Banana, and they see it now, but they can't really react fast enough, and they're going to force out a Midnight to choose a side to strike them.
And that's okay, because if they find the Corvus right here, he's going to go up in the air to try to dodge Meave. No can do. Meave is going to be there, kind of, in the middle, but he's popping up 2 kills, and that's going to be a huge advantage, a huge plus coming in for Ignite Gaming. InControl Nations, though, they found the spot, the sweet spot even. They're going to be ready to touch the payload in point, but they lost a lot of time, so they're going to go to the card, and their payload is going to keep rolling, but at what cost? You just have 30 seconds. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, the cleanup there by the end by Ice Monkey helped them get back here significantly, but no real staggers there near the very end. They're going to have to fight the entire team holding here, but again, triple DPS defending on Stone Keep is not easy. You have to leave a lane open no matter what, and they're choosing to get aggressive in 1 to make up for that fact, but they're not really burning through that ROM. They're getting knocked low, and now a Buck Wild is coming out up top.
Ooh, King Kaiser capitalizes 2 kills in a row, and you know, they're ready for pushing. Shaolin is going to be the only one to actually go there. The dome is going to get expended a little bit too early, to be honest. They actually had those kills and that pressure coming off. So I guess it's okay. 100%. They actually got 2-0 pretty secure.
Yeah, the dome shield probably not necessary. You used a little bit late, I would say, by the Barrack. Now they won't have it for this next fight. So it's going to be hard for him to survive, I think, on point if they play that outside game, but I think they could do that and then just have a tank locking down maybe each doorway and have the support even cap the point. Not the most poke as long as they have people playing in underkeep. And you know that they're going to be trying to play up top. Normally, Ignite's triple DPS, you'd want to be outside, but for some reason they started up on that high ground, which I don't think is really the best for their composition. We'll see if anything does change for them, and I think they're smart this time. They play outside, they want to play around that overpower, and they want to play around their triple poke composition.
Midnight Pool says panic ensues. Of course, Deja Vu is going to try to find a bucket. King Kaiser is going to fall down and actually survives Meave out of his encounter. That's pretty good because without Buck, there's not really much action coming in InControl's way, and they're just stomping in Ignite. Coming on and off, on and off. Shaolin is going to try to block the ROM, but no can do. Come back in the mechanic, remember, so at this point it's going to be clean. Well, let's see. Because King Kaiser is back in action, and Meave actually finds him.
Yeah, it's holding up top. This is decent for them right now on Ignite, but where they're getting just ran at. Too good. No real way to stop that run if he stops it right there. He's knocked low, and Ice Monkey's getting aggressive.
Ooh, Ice Monkey actually survives that. Incredible. And Texu Toga, of course, he's going to be safe. But, man, super risky action down there. But pretty amazing play coming in from InControl Nation. Go for another one. And I just feel, Kresnik, that these two teams, they're pretty much equal, right? They're playing at their best potential, but it doesn't seem to be, you know, the balance towards one team or the other. The only problem is, I think that Ignite, they're doing a little bit too many mistakes for my taste, but what do you think?
I mean, biggest issue here is they're playing triple DPS on Snowkeep, and I hate to harp on the composition, but it really limits what you can get away with in their retake, maybe a little bit too forward. They're too forward to stop the retake from coming in from InControl. So look at this here, the Midnight. They try to make something out of it, but they just stayed back with double poke. They can't get aggressive enough to actually clean up on it, and another Buck Wild up top could find a con again.
Okay, they could find something, but of course, we saw the Beat Knight popping in. They didn't find anything, but you know, first time in a row, 2 times in a row, they actually got some kills. The problem, though, is trying to open up that high ground for InControl Nation, and King Kaiser is ready to go, is ready to jump in. The problem is, though, what can you do as Ignite Gaming? Victor is out. You just got Shaolin. Khan, yes, he can jump onto the point, but remember, Cassie is there, Barrack is there, the damage is there, and Rom, it's gonna be super tough to actually go against him because it's just moving everybody around. And you can see how much pressure is just sitting there into the respawn. And InControl Nation, out of nowhere, they just go 4-0 in a very clean and fast set.
Yeah, the tanks just completely choked them out, I think, that entire time there near the very end. You saw where that solo Khan had to play as the round was ending. He was over in the tunnel on the far side by the garden. He can't really contest from there. They have to give up top to put the Khan down there in the first place. So they just flood in around him. It's just so difficult when you can't lock down both of the choke points. The poke, sometimes it's enough, but it just wasn't in that situation when a ROM is going to absorb like 90% of it just running in.
Yeah, this triple DPS didn't really work at all, but yeah, we go for the breakdown onto our desk to see what really happened.
Well, InControl were aptly named in that one. They control the entire game from minute 1 until the very end, and they best Ignite 4-0 here on Stone Keep. And I agree with what they were saying at the very end there, Gore. The ROM felt pretty oppressive.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know, I was surprised to see Io not get picked up. If ROM is ever unbanned and whoever is first pick doesn't pick him, I think you're in a bad position. I mean, right there's a perfect example of the tech being able to demolish the shields. Granted, it's con, so you can put it right back up, but just giving all that extra damage down where you're not normally supposed to be able to because of a good ult placement coming down from the ROM. And just, I think, as impressive as it was, the tanks choked them out, and they didn't necessarily need the extra presence on the point because they were winning so heavily on these side fights. Again, ROM kind of functioning a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra body just to be up there with the rest of the team. Of course, Tuga putting a lot of kills on it as well. I think that, alongside the fact that Amadeus had a pretty good game and Kaiser had a pretty good game, they felt pretty confident all around just to be able to get aggressive and let the damage come through. And kind of sleeper, I didn't realize Ice Monkey was 7-2 in that one. He just did well as Barrick in the backline.
And put out some pretty good damage as well, nearly 40k for him. I mean, you look at the triple DPS here for Ignite, 91,000 for Kubi's, 71,000 for Deja Vu. I mean, it's not like they weren't doing their jobs. It's just that the other team was too tanky to handle. 99,000 damage taken, nearly 100k there for Tuga, and still put out an awful lot of damage at the exact same time. That goes to show just how effective these frontliners were. So maybe triple DPS might not be the call. Remember, Ignite also went with those double flank bans. Could see them move away from that as we head the map too.
And they definitely have room to wiggle into something like banning ROM, right? Like, it's not like you need to ban Xin and Andro every game. That being said, we're going to a map where maybe you could also ban Xin and Andro. Like, it's not necessary. I actually think those two, at least as far as bans go, aren't really at the top of my list. I mean, except for a couple of players out there. I'm not thinking of many where, you know, it's going to be the end-all, be-all if they get them. So definitely a lot of wiggle room to go into those off-tanks.
Going to be fun to watch what happens here on the Shattered Desert as we head into picks and bans. Ignite now has lost 4 maps in a row, pretty convincing. Remember, they had the tough draw of going up against Parallax Gaming earlier, and they did get 2 defensive, but points nonetheless up against Parallax. So I assume that they'll be able to bounce back at least a little bit here up against InControl, as it looks like Ignite still looking to ban a flank, at least the very first one. They waste no time going with the Xin ban and the Andro ban here again on Shattered Desert.
Now, this is a map where flanks can absolutely control everything, and in this case, their first pick, so they can pick the ROM up over InControl. But the thing is that the counters that can come through, and I think on this map there are plenty. ROM gets locked in. I'm thinking you could run a double support if you wanted to. You could go Genos Grover plus some others that maybe have something to ruin him. But Grover as a support is going to be incredibly helpful here to deal with him. And someone that works on this map really well, that we've seen in the past, either him or Genos will be pretty consistent to help deal with that. And then it's just the question of who you have to deal DPS for him. If they have a root, probably the better. A stun, maybe better. Cassie has a knockback, so that's still going to be pretty helpful all around. But I don't know, this ROM, he was the difference maker last time. He might still give Ignite the control they need.
Could be the case, but you're mentioning Genos and Grover, and those sound really good to me. InControl go at support, but it's neither of those. It's the Corvus for them here in this one. Little surprise, especially considering how highly Ignite value the Genos. They top picked it whenever InControl got the ROM. I'm surprised that InControl don't try and at least deny that to Ignite.
Yeah, but it is the question, I guess, how much of your team you want to orient around controlling ROM and how much you want to try to control the map. I feel like with at least Ash Cassie now, they feel aggressive. Corvus enables some of that. Genos might have been able to do so a little bit more, but again, at the sacrificing a little bit of the healing that would come through for that damage amp. They get the Barrack again, which not a lot, I will give them a lot of credit. Not a lot of people are running Barrack successfully right now. It's been kind of difficult lately. I think we've seen him on the rise again these last couple of weeks, but admittedly, he's not necessarily the one that comes to the top of my mind for front lines, and they keep going back to him, and alongside the Ash and the Cassie, I think he looks pretty solid here.
Ignite go back to this Leon. They played it a bunch up against Parallax. 2 out of those 3 games. Obviously did not find a win because they got swept, but interesting to see it here once again as now they will last pick the Genos. Ignite come away with a pretty decent composition here, Gore. What are some of the concerns that you're seeing here for these 5 for Ignite?
Honestly, I think the downside is that they're not necessarily all known as best in class. Like, Rom and Connor are some of the top picks, Genos there as well. Buck and Leon could maybe get shuffled around, but I think on a map like Shattered Desert, Buck's mobility is going to be up there. It rivals things like Maeve and the Eevee, so he can keep up in that front. Again, the headshots are very devastating, and the Leon is kind of an anti-flank. The downside is there's no flank for her to really be anti-towards, so she is going to be kind of just going rival head-to-head with Cassie. A matchup that she used to be able to win, but due to some nerfs that have happened over the years, or I guess over the months really, for Leon, she's kind of fallen off of the potency there. I think the lack of presence from the DPS is where they might suffer, if they do at all. InControl, though, the interesting thing is that this doesn't feel very specific to Shattered Desert. This draft, the two bows going together, Cassie and Shaolin working together, is an old damage duo that's always worked in Paladins and worked well, and as long as they are able to prioritize targets appropriately, I think they're going to be able to find a lot of good damage and things like that. But it's just an interesting route for InControl to take. I'm really excited to see how they tackle this mid-fight, just because it feels like Ashe can get aggressive, but nobody really wants to get aggressive with her, so I'm wondering where they're going to put that pressure.
Yeah, no flank, like you mentioned, to help that Ashe dive, but maybe she can just take care of this Leon by herself. I mean, that Leon normally very good against those lower HP pools because of the burst damage, but maybe up against something like the Ashe, which is more sustained plug shots, might have a little bit more trouble. InControl, I mean, if you go up 2-0 here with the Shattered Desert win, I feel like you've got to be feeling very, very confident moving forward. Just from a mental standpoint, not alone the percentage points that you know Ignite would have to reverse sweep you.
And also, I mean, when you come forward, like getting up 2-0, looking at the 3-0s we've seen today, I feel like Brazil, like you're more on track to keep pace with everybody else at that point, right? And you want to keep going. And again, I think their draft has a lot of survivability. The Entropic Breach from the Corvus kind of gets Khan and Rom away from the objective. Ashe, as well as Barrack, having two ults that are really good at just saying, this is my land, you cannot take it from me. Dome Shield can either save you at the end of a push or around a mid-fight. Same thing for an Assert Dominance. I think there's a lot, like you had highlighted, for them to get into the back line, be the driving force. I mean, if anyone's going to flank up there, I'm going to guess it's going to be King Kaiser and probably on the Shaolin alongside the Ashe, getting aggressive. Give him a Heat Haze in the later rounds, and he'll be able to find a beeline straight to Leon every time. And that trade, I think, goes in favor of the Shaolin each time, unless you're carefully played by the Leon. If he has an Ashe next to him, then forget about it. You're not going to be able to win that one. So I like the way InControl can tackle this. I just think that Rom and Khan are the big difference makers. If those two tanks do what we saw InControl do last game, then it doesn't matter what the DPS is doing. They control the game and win it themselves.
Pretty interesting that through a bunch of games now, IO continues to be not quite missing, but clearly not as heavily prioritized here in Brazil. I mean, no picks or bans here on Shattered Desert.
And this is something, it's really funny, this is what was happening to her in Phase 1 as well. Like, some teams would absolutely, like, they'd lock her in first pick if she was available. Some teams would ban her because they recognize that she is too potent. And then there were some teams that would just ignore her. They didn't care because they maybe didn't have her at the top of their list, and they hadn't really had the, I want to say, unfortunate experience of how oppressive she can be in the right hands. And so if Ignite and InControl are going to continue dodging it, that's fine by me, but I do feel like it could give a little bit of an edge. In fact, over there, instead of the Corvus alongside Ashe and Barrack, I feel like it would just give InControl so much point pressure that it wouldn't matter what happens the rest of the game, you'd control the objective.
We were scratching our heads a little bit at these double flank bans. Feel like it might have worked, though, as you look at how the whole draft turned out here for InControl. I mean, the fact that they end up with 0 flankers means that maybe Zin and Andro were their flankers of choice, and they don't really want to go to anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Zin Andro, again, if you're looking at Jag Falls, that's something I expect to see banned. It makes sense as well on Stone Keep. But to see it twice in a row against InControl, it is something, I mean, I can have flashbacks. I close my eyes, I think Androxus for InControl. I see Amadeus slaughtering people. I close my eyes, I think Zin. I see King Kaiser just absolutely controlling a game with it. So they are still really solid bans. I'm just wondering if InControl, I mean, maybe could flex. Brazil is a big region for Talus, and it feels like this could have been a decent map for him as well. But again, I'm never going to complain about Cassie and Shaolin as a damage duo. I think they have exactly what they need to get things done. It's just the amount of pressure they'll be able to bring. And again, getting to the back line, Ashe is kind of the pioneer for this versus the rest of the team. They really need the assistance of the off tank.
Appreciate your patience, everybody. We are working on getting in game. Should be able to get some sort of resolution here pretty shortly. As well, let's take a step back and kind of reset what this set means. Remember, this is our first elimination game, so a lot on the line here between InControl and Ignite. Going to make sure that we've got everything working as we head into the Shattered Desert, so stick with us. We'll be right back with map number 2.
Victory belongs to the last one standing here on Shattered Desert. Kresnik, Merlo, ready for action. Let's go with a little breakdown.
Yeah, these compositions on this map, I kind of like the double archer here that they're running here on InControl Nation, the Cassie and the Shaolin, just for pure burn on that ROM, but they're not running big game here, so it's not going to be a ton of percentage damage going into them, and I guess that makes sense when you're fighting those flankers if you know you need to win duels against a Leon that's being backed up by a Genos pocket. All those damage boosts getting spread across all the abilities can be pretty lethal. But Ignite, they can have such an aggressive composition. If this Leon, ROM, and Buck collapse on the same target, InControl might find it hard to survive.
Absolutely, and I just want to see that. Remember, Shattered Desert is so long, so that could happen. Lots of territory to actually cover, lots of space to witness, and right now, it's kind of the same game as before. They're poking each other out thanks to the barrack, thanks to all those shields. They're going to try to find the right target. Khan is dearly on the point. The risk a lot of it. Of course, Ram is going to go away, but remember, with Shaolin, anything is possible, and he's not going to go anywhere if he finds the right angle and the right spot. And Kaiser, on the other hand, trying to control those side lanes, but nothing really comes out of it. Maybe Ashe is going to be the first blood, but she manages to escape.
The damage from the Cassie really forced them away, so the Ashe had all the space in the world she needed to survive there. InControl are playing this so slowly, and it's working out for them because they're on top of each other enough so that when and if a dive comes in, they should be able to deal with it. But Deja Vu actually doesn't land in the same spot. Navizu doesn't get the same value he should have out of that run.
No can do. You ain't taking the side lane from Ashe and King Kaiser. Of course, great protection, 60% for both of the teams, and now Buck is going to start collapsing onto the enemies. Zabiu actually takes the first blood. They're going to come and trade thanks to Barrack and all the others. Everybody's just jumping around trying to get that point, but they're just crumbling. Ignite Gaming, not going to be fun for them to actually resist to so much action, so much pressure coming in from Barrack, those shields, those turrets, and of course, everybody else.
Yeah, this Barrack could get Dome, but there's going to be a Cataclysm right in response to it. That's why you can't pop a Dome on Barrack InControl. They can't get the point right now. Ashe actually manages to get her way on.
Remember, we still have Cubits with the ultimate, and that's a lot of burst damage that you can deal during those team fights. Here you go, Janus is going to help out. Ashe is going to try to escape. InControl Nation completely backed off. The overtime is going to basically disappear in a couple of seconds. We see Rom actually still standing onto the point, dying, because nobody can help him out. And King Kaiser and all the others surround this con completely. They got the point, so they're going to be rolling down with the payload. But remember, this is Shattered Desert, so very easy to pick off people as soon as you're trying to dominate those side lanes. And so many opportunities for Deja Vu to actually still kick it.
Yeah, the respawn timers were very kind there to InControl when they got their DPS back in time here. But look at this dive. It's not synced with everybody, so Deja Vu ends up falling first.
Yeah, and probably the next one to cover for him. It's going to be Khan. Yep. Amadeus is going to follow up pretty easily. Barrack and all the others, this payload still moving, still rolling. And now they have a very good position. They're basically up in their faces into the respawn. Shields are coming up. Ashe is going to survive. Pretty easy for her. And look at the amount of pressure she's just giving out. Yes, she's sacrificing herself. But look how much long the payload is going to come out. That's the last stretch. A few inches more, we're going to have a clean 2-0.
I can't believe that they used the overpower for that on the side of Ignite Gaming. That Ashe was literally in their spawn doors. They spent a resource that they really shouldn't have felt pressured to use here. As Ignite, they go to dive in the back, but it's out of sync again, and they lose Deja Vu a second time in a mismatched aggression.
InControl right now looking pretty good, to be honest. And they got, of course, Charlotte's situation thanks to Shaolin. They're going to stop the ROM thanks to the arrow. Ready to go for another go at it. And at this point in time, you still have Corvus you can expand against the enemy team. You still have, the possibility of actually spending a dome since you're so far up into the enemy tanks. And there you go, Barrack is going to try to survive. He actually spent the dome, so they're ready to do as much DPS as possible thanks to ROM. All the others, Leanne is going to try to take a little bit of pressure out of their teammates. Rom and all the others trying to survive. No can do. Barracks is still going to be standing about 30 seconds, and everybody backed off. Ignite surely survived, but I don't know how much longer they can keep at it.
Yeah, they have solid positioning still around the cart, and they will have one more 5v5 fight coming from the side of InControl. They just have to find, I think, an opening again, and maybe it's just another dive from Ignite that goes wrong when they run that Buck and that ROM into the backline a little bit out of time. But maybe they'll just spend ults here. They wanted to assert dominance before, and this could be another chance for it now as Tuga goes straight to the point.
And there you go. They spend it. That could be a great combo to actually kill out Khan. That's good. ROM, not a lot of HP. Double kill coming in from King Kaiser. That's a clean 2-0 coming in from InControl Nation. They've spent basically everything, but it was so much worth it.
Yeah, they made it work for sure on that last bit. They're not going to have the Dome Shield for a little bit, and even when they do get it, they're going to have to be, of course, wary of the Cataclysm destroying it immediately. But the damage is far in their favor right now. Both King Kaiser and Amadeus, I think, putting on a solid show right now. But because of that miss earlier, it was enough time for Ornstein to charge up that overpower again. That will be, again, a key factor in Ignite's ability to win this fight. If they can just pull one of these DPS out, suddenly so much less pressure on the angles, and Abizu, maybe he'll feel like he won't have to buy Veteran in some other rounds. I'm shocked that he goes for that item, but clearly there's just too much pressure on Zeeds to keep both of his kind of health-reliant tanks alive.
Ashe kind of uncontested, if I do say myself. She's able to actually go into that backline, pressure them out inside the spawn, and survive each and every time. And we see once again that Rom is not having the easiest of times thanks to that Shaolin. Ooh, overpower that's going to fail Khan for the last time because, you know, after you burn that execution out and you don't gain any kind of a disposable enemy, it's kind of over. Corvus is going to try once again to put a stop to it, but no can do for InControl Nation. They got, of course, another kill in the back thanks to Amadeus, and they're going to continue keeping going with the pressure once again. We see Amadeus trying to scuffle through the sideline. Takes, of course, Deja Vu into the back once again. He has everybody at his disposal, and I think InControl, they can just set up a nice iron curtain, a nice wall, lock them out, and a point. It's going to come easy.
They're not watching the right side of the map from their perspective, though, so that is a lot of space open, and you can see them already kind of taking advantage of that. As another dome is going to get insta-stomped again, Ice Monkey has to be thinking about this a little more, but luckily he gets his second shield up in time.
That's so frustrating, but that's okay, because I see that Rom takes a lot of damage in this particular instance. Not being able to actually contest Leon is going to get chased down, and the overtime coming in, but no can do. InControl Nation with another payload. This could be another 4-0. And in general, it's been a super fast game. 8 minutes to go. But yeah, we're already basically on to the last stretch. Deja Vu takes another kind of side kill. Eric and all the others, once again, trying to put that kind of wall to protect themselves from the enemy onslaught.
Yeah, they will be able to stabilize, get a bunch of kills, and push their way out here. Even with an attempt at finding somebody, some credits go to Ice Monkey, but he will fall soon after. And Ignite Gaming, they know they have to get forward. They have to stop them from coming onto the base as early as possible, but I don't think they noticed whoever that was on the left flank. It looks like it's the Ashe. They don't see her at all, and she has assert dominance. Finally, she makes her move onto Zeeds. Could just use the ult on the point, but she split the team so much that Ice Monkey got a free kill on Ornski.
Yeah, probably at this point you want to keep saving that ultimate, you know, for a better chance to actually have a nice combination, as just happened before, you know, thanks to Corvus and all the others. So I think he just waits for the right moment, the right occasion to actually stomp one of the enemy tanks. Deja Vu is going to be the one who falls soon after. And in general, we are in the same, you know, tough spot when you have a 3-point advantage. If you're defending as Ignite, you gotta spend ultimates if you don't want to lose the game. But also, if you spend them, you won't have an ultimate for the next matchup in a middle point. So, kind of a lose-lose situation if you tell me.
Yeah, look at that time and space. They tried to set up a combo there, I think, between some ults, but don't get it. They do finally manage to get someone with an overpower. It looks like that might have been the Shaolin that got cleaned up on later. So InControl will have to back off for now, even with this consistent pressure coming in from Abizu. They have 40 seconds to set up the next fight, though. There's a couple chances for them here, but they don't have any super impact ultimates. Maybe Dome Shield, but again, Cataclysm still on the other side that will be able to counter it out. And they're going from the right. They're actually distracting from Kaiser, and this left lane is left completely open.
Ooh, he's going to try to sneak in and maybe do a couple of shots into that buck. It's going to be ready, of course, thanks to Shaolin and Amadeus. But no kill were found, but of course, you're basically going away from the point, away from the payload. You're bound to have that 4-0. And also, they spent everything they got before. So, InControl Nation looking pretty good at this point. But yeah, kind of a tragedy to see a Shadow Desert end up so quickly in such a fast manner.
Yeah, I think a big part of it there was, even though they had the Cataclysm to stop the Dome Shield every time, they really couldn't stop the Barrack from taking that space. Because the backlines were never there to punish him, right? He got stunned out of it, and the backlines were hiding from the DPS because they were losing those fights. They could have maybe dealt with the Barrack a little bit better had they been in cover already and could peek and take down their point tank with the health bars that they already had.
Yeah, we saw Ashe completely mortal in one of more, occasions onto those sidelines. But in general, I want to hear from Magro on our desk. What's the breakdown? What really happened?
What happened was InControl looked better. Again, they beat Ignite 4-0 this time on the Shattered Desert. And just like they were saying at the very end there, Gore, that Ashe in particular caused problems, to say the least.
Yeah. Guest analyst Lala, she was telling me during the game she was very, very surprised at how dominant the tanks were. And I guess, you agreed with me, right? When we were talking about when we were talking about the DPS there for Ignite, unfortunately, just unable, I think, to get as much done as they had wanted to. And they were the weak points that I was looking towards. And again, you look at it and you're banning out this Xin, you're banning out an Andro, but if King Kaiser is going to look insanely good on a Cassie as well, if you're going to have InControl still getting picks that they perform incredibly well on, are you really hurting them where you need to? Like, are you banning the right targets? I think that's where Ignite have to start approaching this, because they had, I think, the better frontline draft in this case. The team just could not play up to, I think, the level they needed to make it execute, like the execution threshold for it. And unfortunately, they just kind of got rolled over.
I mean, these target bans have been have really been the focal point of what we're talking about during picks and bans. That clearly has not panned out overall for them so far. 4 and 5 overall for Tuga, but that does not really tell the whole story on how impactful he was on that pick. 9 and 3, 9 and 4 for the two bow users in Cassie and Shaolin, respectively. I mean, at this point, Ignite, it's just a team that they seem like they're on different pages a little bit, Gore. I mean, you heard Kresnik during the cast really call out Deja Vu and Zabizu and Ornstein, and they were just not diving at the same time on the same targets. Their timing was a little bit off. It's just been not their day so far.
Yeah, and again, if you know, especially this year, if this was like the first time you had really gotten to foray into Paladins esports, you're just now like seeing, and you're like, man, Cassie Shaolin, I didn't think that would work. Last year, it was one of the most common like damage duos. It worked really well. There was a point where like we would call them the Bow Bros. Like if they got onto the same team, it was almost done for you. And I think that might have been 2 years ago when teams were doing that constantly. So like, it's been something that crops up every now and then, and it always performs when it does. It's never a bad combo. And I think this is just more of a testament to how good they can combine together.
Well, let's see where we're going for map number 3. Ooh. No Warder's Gate, Gore, at least not yet. It looks like it might be a 3-0 with the way it's been so far, because it's been 4-0-4-0 in control. Why are you going to leave all these fun maps up that no one else does if you're not even going to play them? That's what I'm saying, you know?
I guess Ignite, I mean, whichever one you have in the pocket and is going to make you feel better, you go to. But I will also say, I think I have seen more Fish Market this weekend. I have to expand it because I forgot Europe and North America, as much as it feels like it's been one long competitive day, has not happened today. Those are the last 2 days that came through. Yep. But this weekend I've seen more Fish Market than I think we have maybe the entire rest of the competitive year combined. Not rest of the competitive nature, just because, again, there were a lot of teams last year, I'm thinking of it, that they chose this map. Originally it was one that you would see, again, kind of similar to Ice Mines. You know you're going to a 3-3 point fight. And then teams figured out you don't draft normal here. Like, you don't have a standard draft. You don't go typically 2 front lines, 1 that's going to be a point tank, your standard support, and then 2 DPS. You go maybe 2 off tanks. Someone like an IO on this map is incredibly solid. This is actually maybe her best map that can be out there. And then 2 aggressive DPS that you can have. You do not care, and you do not really play around the mid-fight as much as you play around the edge of the border. Once you win the fight, then you just kind of take over. The rest of the team pushes up, your support goes back and gets the heals. So people like Genos are also very common on this map. But I will go back and say, because I feel like it's worth reiterating, IO's best map, and she's available. I'd love to see her.
Well, Corvus is open though, Gore, so we gotta be snagging that. I mean, come on, we cannot afford to let Corvus drop any lower than number 1 overall if we're Ignite. Strix and Ashe locked in pretty much immediately on the other side. I like InControl being patient with their support pick. I don't think we've seen any Genos IO or Corvus IO compositions. Usually IO's kind of left to her own devices. Maybe once all weekend we've seen IO paired with another support. I don't mind InControl being patient, but really hope they pick it. I think they should pick IO here.
I think, I mean, it does literally nothing but make this better for you and your team, right? And it's going to get hovered, but I'm not going to jump. I think there's also some merits if you lock in something like a Genos overall. And thank God they locked that in, because I was preparing myself for the eventuality of it not happening. Look, Strix, Ashe, IO, this is a map, if Khan were available for InControl, if you went Strix, Ashe, IO, Khan, and then let's just say Victor, you could throw Vivian, you could throw Cassie, honestly you could throw Leon, like just someone who's going to be some more sustained damage from the backline that can just have a steady, sequence of shots that are always coming out. then it's going to be incredibly solid. They go for the Inara, which maybe isn't as aggressive as something like a Khan would be, but considering Rom is banned, Ruckus isn't necessarily that big in Brazil, there's not a lot of tanks that you then flex onto. I like this combination for InControl. It feels like it should be pretty dominant.
Fernando's been a pick that Parallax played a lot of in their first set of today, but we haven't seen a whole lot of in general this weekend at the Paladins World Championships. How do you think he fits into Ignite's comp?
I like it. Again, when I'm looking at the overpowering threshold, like what Strix, especially now that Maeve can bring, having that Immortal ready for you just to kind of get everybody locked at a minimum 1,500 health, making sure that you're going to be fine, you can keep moving, you're not going to die here, is going to allow you a little bit of wiggle room when the point control starts to go in favor of Io, just because of the nature of Io's kit. I think he has a lot of damage as well. Again, we're looking at people who can fight on the sides. Khan and Fernando do that pretty well. He's not the same flank Nando he used to be, but he is still really solid at just being the head, kind of the spearhead for someone like a Xin or like a Victor to really get some damage done.
I think they're going to need a lot here on Ignite's side in order to claw back into this one. InControl looking to move on and eliminate the first team here on Sunday. Let's see if they can do it. Map number 3, it's Fish Market for InControl sweep.
Absolutely, Aggro. It's time for InControl to claim victory and bask in their glory. In this potential match point, we're gonna see who's the better team. Kresnik, what can we expect?
We can expect chaos. No, we can expect chaos because it's Fish Market for sure. I'll tell you that much right now as I fix my mic there really quickly. But it's definitely going to be all over the place for sure. InControl, though, if the chaos should play to their advantage, they'll have the Luna on point to help out more than anything to keep it going. They can't really stay on there that well. Nando and Khan both kind of struggle, I would say, into that Luna capping the point. Luna stuns them both through their shields. If they go down in front of everybody, they're just going to get burnt out.
100%. And right now, comes down to having a real slow gameplay, of course. We're going to see what's going to happen. King Kaiser trying to take the side lane and the high ground. But of course, Khan is going to be there, trying to set up a point. A little bit of a defense for his team. Everybody's just roaming around. Cubits and all the others, they actually took the advantage from behind. The backline is going to suffer way too much for InControl Nation, Ignite Gaming. This is the first time that I see they have a clear advantage, but of course, got Inara. She's a super strong tank. She can anchor pretty easily. She's completely alone by herself. Deja Vu and all the others, they take those kills. They take Fish Market. They're basically ready for action.
Yeah, they have this great ground here, and there's no way Luna's going to slow them down any more than they already had there. So Ignite Gaming, with both sides under control, it's so difficult to get a retake on Fish. Basically, this Ashe is going to have to somehow slip past a Khan, but actually, Abizu's kind of giving her that ground now. The Ashe might be able to just go right in, and yeah, there's no real block here. They'll get the overtime, but they have to win a 5v4.
Ooh, she's getting stomped and blocked by the overpower, but that's okay. They actually got the point. They actually got that touch. They just need to survive against, of course, Fernando, Khan, and all the others. Luna's going to be there trying to heal a little bit more thanks to Io. And, of course, you see everybody's still in there. The damage are coming for Ice Monkey. King Kaiser is going to try to find an opening against the Khan. No can do. Once again, seems that Ignite Gaming has the better team and the better chance. They're such a huge and big team with so many bodies. But of course, Amadeus takes the opportunity of when the shield goes down to take the kill. 63% to go.
That is kind of a wild retake from InControl Nation. They literally had to do that 5 versus 4, and they managed to make it work with the Strix recommitting back in position here, and they do get overtime on the side of Ignite, but again, now they have to win 5 versus 4 once this Xin falls.
And Fernando is at 97% before the ultimate. It gets shut down, so no can do InControl. They actually managed to save the situation in Inara. It's going to be there, takes the Khan and all the other, and there you go. InControl with another point. They go easy for the 1-0, and probably now that you have all set up and running, you can basically block them off from the sides to keep the payload running because you have Luna.
Yeah, they can get aggressive with Luna capping the point, but the biggest win, I think, towards InControl is them having a sniper. The fact that they just have more range at base on a map that is so wide. Victor, yeah, he can help. Burst mode will do fine damage, but it's still nowhere near the levels of what Strix is going to be able to output. They can really lean on that as they get a little bit closer here. And Ignite know that. They can't let them go over the hill, and that's why they'll spend ults like this.
And they have to do that. They are basically risking their victory. They're gonna get kicked out of if they don't manage to survive this onslaught of damage. And I see them going pretty aggressive. That's okay. They can manage to do that, and they can take Ashe, stagger her a little bit out. Yes, of course, Deja Vu is gonna be in front of her, blocking that escape. Inara is gonna follow soon after, and there you go. They got a pretty good defense going on. Basically back into the respawn of InControl Nation.
This is a good place to be as long as they hug the corner and have the right side of the map in control of them, right? If they let the Strix get over there, then holding the left side doesn't really work as effectively. InControl, though, using an ultimate to break out, they send Kaiser all around the side, and if they hug that wall, it's not going to help them to this Maeve in their backline.
Absolutely. And now King Kaiser is going to find probably a little bit of percentage, a little bit of damage over here, but I think it's done for InControl. They don't have enough space, they don't have enough time to actually reach the point. Remember, now that they pushed it, it's going to be in overtime.
Yeah, they have a bit of time here. It gets slowed down. That's when overtime's going to come into matter, but it's going to be right at the edge when overtime comes in. That's not as much of a concern for fast overtime. They should just now look to take space, take pressure off of Luna so they can't free fire on it. Luna can't live that long, and there it goes immediately. They're going to assert dominance, but it's on the far side.
Yeah, watch out, because also Seismic Crash is ready at 90%. You can expand that in case to have a clean 2-0. Right now, Fernando and all the others in a very tough spot. Khan and gonna try to survive. The healing comes in. Seismic Crash, of course. Fernando is gonna counter that. It's the Immortal. They're gonna survive, but Ashe is right down there, trying to do as much confusion, nuisance, and everything else as possible. He's gonna survive. Oh, no can do. She gets shut down by Deja Vu. But Cubit's in a very tough spot once again versus King Kaiser. He's gonna try to find a Corvus. And once again, no can do. We're back in overtime. So as soon as they step off the payload, it's gonna be over. But they forced so many good ultimates out of Ignite Gaming. It's basically a W.
Honestly, I think that if they manage to get the kill on the Corvus in the backline, if the Maeve doesn't miss 1 or 2 shots when things are really chaotic, it is a different story there near the end, and InControl can push that one in. But he got saved, I think, pretty hardcore by Kubi's there, with the mark on him, getting that lifesteal given to him by Grand Design, even after the nerf. It still keeps him up and keeps him going, and watching what Deja Vu on this Xin is also able to do really shows what Corvus is enabling for his team. Look, these pocket supports, they really focus on enabling their DPS at a 15 and 6 combined kill death between them. It's helping significantly having these marks on them and letting them win their duels with that little bit of lifesteal.
I'll second to that. I think that, that Corvus skill could have been very useful for the long run, but in general, they didn't manage to actually take those ultimates away, so no Immortal for Fernando. Yes, we have the elimination coming in from Ignite Gaming. If they manage to actually get a free kill, that should be huge, but let's find out.
Yeah, the early start here on the right side is not bad. I think you want to contest away from the Strix, but of course Amadeus, he'll just rotate over now, and it forces Ignite to play the other side of the map, but no overpower, not great poke. They're kind of stuck by the dock side.
Victor not able to keep up with the, those trick shots coming in from Amadeus. And Deja Vu and the others, though, doing incredible on the right side of the map. They actually made a couple of kills. Amadeus able to stop Deja Vu before getting too close to Io. Nobody's actually capping so hard to point, but remember, no comeback mechanics, so every shot counts, every dead body also.
Yeah, for sure, the damage will add up over time here as Ignite managed to have Captain, but whoa, no one was on the flank. Wait a minute, Tuka just mounts in over here and goes in to kill this Corvus in the back.
Corvus is going to try to escape. If she managed to actually get that, oh, that's going to be so big. That's going to be so huge. Double kill coming in. And of course, right now, they're just basically swinging. The majority of the time, we were not super sure about Ignite Gaming, but now they're all dead. The supports are away. Luna can be placed onto the point. So you have free space and free engage thanks to that long-range Strix.
I wish that the Xin had kind of realized that he should be going for the touch if they want overtime, but actually, wait, they back up. The rest of the team managed to get them this space, and now he goes for it. Blade Dance adding up, but that CC takes him down right away.
That was super good coming in from Aya, because Xin is out, so one of the best DPS inside Ignite Gaming's formation is completely out the window. Now they managed to actually, you know, bring Khan with them. That's okay. The rebound is not going to be possible. And of course the payload is going to keep rolling in Control's Nation favor.
Yes, Tuga is trying to stay aggressive for them. This Ashe really wants to be up here. Surprised she didn't go Slug just for that extra bit of range. It does help quite a bit on this map, but I understand if you're going to be trying to brawl out as much as possible. Tuga here on the left, stacking with its tanks a bit, which leaves the middle open, but hey, they have Strix to cover that, and that long-range damage is going to add up. It's going to keep Ignite kind of stuck back, and they're going to have to use an ult if they want to break out.
100%, and I think right now it's going to be the critical moment. Infernal getting spent, of course, Guillotine is getting spent, as always. I'm going to try to back them off, because remember, as soon as you take this point, this could be pivotal, this could be crucial. King Kaiser is just slowing, chipping away health from each and every enemy. No can do, they're taking a seat back, and they need to regroup and reload.
Yeah, Amadeus is playing this lane, I think, really, really well, but they actually missed an overpower that could have helped them on the defense, and there's a lot of ground being taken now by InControl.
Ooh, and now, thanks to Qubits, a little bit more damage coming in their way. Corvus is going to manage to find everybody, and Ashe a little bit too deep this time around. I mean, she was successful many times again, but right now, yeah, that's not super useful. And you can see that InControl Nation, they're basically backing off. They don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, I like the way that they're playing their Victor on the far right. As soon as Strix gets in, it's going to be a lot worse, but before he can actually break through that threshold and shoot at Kubies, this is a great position for him to be in. The tanks can't really get too aggressive to contest, which lets them deal with the Strix if he does take that right side, but two ults are coming out right away. InControl, they're hungry for this 3-1.
Absolutely, and King Kaiser, you know, managed to actually take a kill, but the trade is going to come in from Qubits. We're going to try. Remember, Seismic is being used, of course. Everything else is being used. Fernando is going to be alone on point. No Immortal to spend. So if they manage to actually break through his defenses, that wall was super useful. Everybody needs to actually reconfigure and re-roll for another action. As you can see, Victor is spending more time running instead of shooting. They're actually managed to survive. Ashe is going to be there. Yes, you have those heals, but it's going to be too much for them. And yeah, they lost the opportunity, even though they spent everything.
I am shocked that Abizu lives. I always overestimate how close the edge is there. I had no idea there was that much ledge for him to live on by the very, very far side of the map. That was almost a total outplay by Tuga, but Abizu does manage to survive and hold on to their ults that they tried to spend a little bit earlier. Having the Immortal and having an Overpower here, that's a lot of impact in the game that these tanks can have throughout this mid-fight. Going to depend on who they manage to connect it on. He missed the last one that could have helped them make that defense even easier for them to maintain. So a lot of pressure on him and pressure on Ornstein to be on the right side of the map, right? He has to be close enough to the fight from InControl. It's not like he can just use Immortal when Strix is poking somebody. That's kind of a waste. We'll see how effectively Ignite can kind of mirror the side that InControl choose to engage on.
Absolutely. I don't know if they actually have what it takes, because InControl is in a very tough spot once again. No resources, no ultimate, and you have a double elimination method on the other side. And thanks to Khan, and they can make this happen. And remember, Fernando, as you said before, with the Immortal, he's going to be able to actually do whatever he pleases. There you go. Finds the Inara. Goodbye. And we got the point. Ignite Gaming really, really started to roll in. Make those ults count.
I like that positioning by Abizu. Just go on top of the wall. You can't block me if I'm there also. And the ult to counter Amadeus, that's a huge factor that they don't have to worry about anymore. And InControl, only 3 up right now. 1's a respawn. And they're getting chased out of it, but May found the way in.
Ooh, she actually managed to find Corvus. That's a huge plus right there. But of course, 81% and Fernando with the Immortal. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to go in. Ashe, you know, manages to touch and have the rebound, but the Immortal coming in. Of course, everybody's going to survive. Ashe is going to be spent. But Ice Monkey managed to find another kill, and the overtime is going to be here thanks to, of course, this Inara and Meave, you know, unlocking the full potential of that action.
I don't know if I love them using the Immortal there. He had shield still off cooldown, but they used the Entropic Breach to buy themselves more time, but they don't see Kaiser in the back.
That's huge! Another time Corvus, and this time around you definitely need those heals to be able to actually survive this onslaught of damage. The mid pulse coming in, of course, that's a lot of panic coming in. King Kaiser just carrying the entire team. It's a human spaceship, is the engine, and everybody's rolling the wall. It's going to stop Fernando. He's not going to be able to actually touch the point. He's going to get killed. What an amazing composition. What an amazing play coming in from InControl Nation.
Honestly, incredible wall there by the very end from Ice Monkey. I always kind of talk down on Anara on this map, but he had that perfect position to completely lock them out here. And they have to be careful, though. Ice Monkey's playing like he has a healer. He doesn't have a healer right now. He's very low, but they do finally get that respawn. And maybe it's a bit of a bait now, because this Strix manages to live on the aggression on the side.
He has a wall, that's okay. Like, he just needs that to survive. And definitely shows. But the problem is that I think InControl Nation, they kind of lost touch of what they can actually achieve with just the Nara no healer. And they get them stomped out. That's a problem. And of course, back into the respawn, it'll be quite difficult to get back into the action and remove this con from the front line.
They just got to be careful over pushing on the hill because, of course, of the sniper on this map, the Strix, who can burst them down. But maybe they should just be worried about Kaiser, because if they're so distracted on the Strix, Kaiser can keep doing whatever he wants on this game like he's been doing from the very beginning. And there he is, running down mid, just finding an opening maybe to get right on this Corvus.
Kaiser is going to try to push them out, but of course we saw that Amadeus is a really very clear shot to actually get those kills rolling. And that's the first one. It's going to be Cubits. The second one, thanks to King Kaiser, is going to be Corvus. So everybody's just falling. They managed to actually reset the situation. 1 minute to go. Remember, we still have Luna at our disposal. So King Kaiser can push them out. Luna's still pushing. And you can set up a nice pressure and aggression on this front.
I think the most important thing is to fight this right side, but it's already too late. King Kaiser couldn't make it there in time. He needed his tanks to be there, and they have to walk all the way. They don't get to fly around like Maeve gets to here. They are finally here, and now they recognize where they have to fight. They can't let this Victor free fire. It's been the bane of their pushes the last couple of times. And they're here, and everyone else is rotated, which makes this assert dominance even better.
Let's go! They can use a midnight also to just scramble things around and create panic, but of course Ash is going to be there. Incredible Fernando could die in this very second, and is out thanks to Amadeus. Corvus and all the others that are going to try to survive, but no can do. Of course, in the midst of all of that, InControl just rolls the card in without a care in the world.
They take down both the tanks there near the very end, and there's no one who can really go to contest the cart there. That Victor, we saw him running away to spawn. We saw the Corvus use the Entropic Breach just to cleanse the Midnight, but it's way too late at that point. No one has the health pool to contest with a sniper and a Maeve there watching the objective InControl. We were all a little worried about them, I think, after the first couple games. Worried about both of these teams after how they looked against Parallax and Carnage, but InControl proved it today. They're here to fight, and they've avoided being eliminated for another round.
We saw King Kaiser, and in general, we saw also the possibility from Amadeus, and I want to know who's the MVP, and Agro, you got to tell us.
Well, I know that this InControl squad is now moving on, and Ignite is not after that performance. Congratulations to InControl. They stay alive here at the Paladins World Championship. Commiserations, of course, to Ignite Gaming, but Gormizer, I think that this one became pretty clear, regardless of who the MVP was for InControl, they were not planning on going down here against Ignite.
I think Ignite definitely, I mean, they put up a better fight right there at the very end, but I think there's a certain part of it that is fish market at work for you, right? Like the map kind of helped play to your advantage a little bit to get some of those points online. Otherwise, I mean, you've got to look at the way they drafted again and the way they played together. Tuga was just oppressive and aggressive. King Kaiser as well. I mean, for somebody whose Zen is notably nasty and was getting banned away for a lot of today, at least by Ignite, his Maeve was amazing and came through and did just as much. But once again, I think the thing that we see, at least in this set, that we didn't really get to see up against Carnage is InControl's frontline are just absolutely running the show. I mean, even in these highlights that are coming from the backliners, I can't help but notice that there's a little bit of a foray into the battle being led by an Ash or an Anara making sure to get up there. I mean, Ice Monkey's 10, 5, and 13. Even though Tuga goes 4 and 11, he has 15 assists on there. I think both of them just did a really good job throughout this entire set, but specifically this game as well, at getting up into the front and letting their carries do their job, making sure that they were the ones who were taking the damage. I'm sure those numbers are going to be massive for them, while then letting Amadeus and King Kaiser pick up those kills behind them.
Impressive score lines from a couple members of Ignite, though. I mean, Kubi's goes 13-5, 15-9 there for Deja Vu on the Zin. If you're just looking at the scoreboard, you might think that Ignite was able to come back and win this one, but ultimately falling just a little bit short. I agree with you that the front line makes the difference here. 75,000 damage out of your Inara, 86,000 damage out of your Ashe. You're going to win games when your front line's playing like that.
And I think it's a little unfortunate, right? Ignite, you have Rookie of the Year that comes through. At least that was voted on there in Deja Vu. Not able to show up today, I think, the way that we've gotten to see through the regular season, which I think is, again, just a little unfortunate, but sometimes it happens that way. InControl, again, this has been a team that has been a monster, not just this year when it comes down to keeping up with teams like Carnage, but realistically in the last couple of years. In the minor league last year, they were one of the only teams outside of North America to be playing. I mean, they had to play on 200 ping into North America on servers that were not their own in order to get that. Now having their own region, they get to dominate down there, but they've always been present, and it's nice to see them getting some rewards for that hard work.
Well, let's take a look at the bracket so we can check in with where we are as we move on into later on today. Parallax versus Carnage, the matchup that a lot of us expect to ultimately be the finals, is going to be the semifinals first, of course. We got to do a double elim bracket. So Parallax and Carnage both trying to punch their ticket into the finals. InControl awaiting whoever drops down to them on the loser's side. So make sure you're sticking around because Parallax versus Carnage, this is going to be important, man. If a team like Carnage can get a big upset here, it becomes so much easier for them to actually be your Brazilian champions. Getting that one-game advantage in the finals will be a huge deal for that team, so make sure you're not missing it. Stick around. We'll be right back after this quick break.